Welcome to News Unbox Updates. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. December 1943. The world was deep in the grip of war, and the Arctic night seemed endless. In the far north, the cold was more than just a backdrop. It was a living, breathing adversary, shaping every decision and every heartbeat. The German battleship Scharnhorst waited in a frozen Norwegian fjord, a sleek, powerful warship with a reputation for both luck and misfortune. She was a symbol of German naval might, but also a reminder of past close calls and narrow escapes. Her hull was sheathed in ice, her crew restless and tense, knowing that every mission could be their last. Her mission was as daring as it was dangerous: break into the Barents Sea and destroy Allied convoys supplying the Soviet Union. These convoys were lifelines, carrying tanks, food, and ammunition through some of the most treacherous waters on Earth. If Scharnhorst succeeded, it could cripple the Soviet war effort and shift the balance in the north. Grand Admiral Dönitz, the architect of Germany's naval strategy, demanded a bold strike. He needed to prove that Germany's big ships still mattered, that they could break through the Allied blockade and strike fear into the enemy. The pressure on the crew was immense. Failure was not an option. Rear Admiral Erich Bay, a seasoned and respected officer, led Scharnhorst and 5 destroyers into the Arctic darkness. Their orders were clear: find and destroy convoys JW-55B and RA-55A. The men knew the risks, but they also knew the glory that awaited if they succeeded. The plan was simple in theory: strike fast, sink as many merchant ships as possible, and escape before the Royal Navy could react. But in practice, it was a race against time, weather, and fate itself. Every sailor aboard knew that the margin for error was razor thin. But the Arctic was unforgiving. Ice, darkness, and storms made every moment a struggle. The sea was a constant threat, battering the ships and freezing the men to the bone. Even the most experienced sailors felt the weight of the elements pressing down on them. The crew braced for battle, proud but anxious, knowing this mission could change the war's momentum in the north. Each man carried his own hopes and fears, but all were united by duty and the knowledge that history was being written with every passing hour. On Christmas Day, as families far away gathered in warmth, Scharnhorst slipped into the storm, nearly 2,000 men aboard, hunting for prey. The holiday offered no respite, only the cold, the darkness, and the ever-present threat of battle. What they didn't know was that the British were waiting. Royal Navy warships, guided by intelligence and radar, lay hidden in the Arctic gloom, ready to turn the hunters into the hunted. The tension on both sides was electric. The trap was set, and Scharnhorst was steaming straight into it. Every mile brought her closer to destiny, and to a battle that would echo through history. The fate of the last great German surface raider would be decided in the icy gloom, where courage, luck, and tragedy would collide in the frozen north. The British Admiralty, armed with the invaluable intelligence decrypted at Bletchley Park, anticipated Scharnhorst's move with a sense of grim determination. In the shadowy corridors of wartime London, codebreakers worked tirelessly, piecing together fragments of enemy transmissions, while naval strategists pored over maps, plotting the next move in a deadly game of cat and mouse. The Admiralty responded swiftly, reinforcing the convoy's escort and deploying 2 formidable forces. Commodore Burnett's cruisers, HMS Norfolk, Belfast, and Sheffield, were ordered to shadow the enemy, their hulls slicing through the freezing Arctic waters. Meanwhile, Admiral Fraser's Force 2, with the mighty HMS Duke of York, the cruiser Jamaica, and a screen of destroyers, waited in the darkness, poised to strike at the perfect moment. The plan was audacious: lure Scharnhorst into a deadly pincer, using the Royal Navy's advanced radar to track her every move in the endless Arctic night. In the war rooms and on the bridges, tension mounted as the trap was set. In the early hours of December 26th, a fierce gale battered the convoys. The Arctic was a world of chaos: howling winds, towering waves, and blinding snow reduced visibility to almost nothing. The cold was bone-deep, numbing hands and faces, as ships struggled to maintain formation in the storm. On the bridge of HMS Belfast, radar operators peered into the swirling static, searching for any sign of the enemy. Suddenly, amidst the chaos, a faint blip flickered onto the screen. Scharnhorst had been found, a ghostly presence in the storm. Burnett's cruisers, guided by the green glow of radar, closed in, silently, unseen by their prey. Scharnhorst's own outdated radar, battered by the storm, failed to pierce the Arctic gloom, leaving her blind and vulnerable. The British ships pressed forward, their crews tense but confident, trusting in their technology and training. Through the blizzard they moved with purpose, ready to spring the trap and end the German threat once and for all. Scharnhorst, shrouded in fog and convinced of her own invisibility, sailed straight into danger. Her crew, unaware of the eyes tracking them through the storm, believed they had slipped past the British net, but the Royal Navy was ready. The first clash of the Battle of the North Cape was only seconds away, the tension on both sides reaching a breaking point. In the darkness, British sailors rushed to their battle stations, loading guns and preparing for the coming storm of steel and fire. Every man knew the stakes. This was a fight for survival in the frozen north. Deep inside Scharnhorst, the German crew remained oblivious to the danger closing in. Tension and uncertainty filled the air, but no one suspected that their fate was already sealed by the unseen enemy. The Arctic night was about to erupt in thunder and flame. Gunfire would soon light up the snow, echoing across the icy seas. The ghost had been found, and the Battle of the North Cape was about to begin in earnest. HMS Belfast fired first, its guns thundering across the icy expanse, shells landing perilously close to Scharnhorst, a shock that rippled through Admiral Bay and his crew. The sudden violence shattered the tense silence of the Arctic, signaling that the British had found their prey. Bay immediately ordered Scharnhorst to turn away at full speed, desperate to escape the trap. But HMS Norfolk was relentless, closing the distance and unleashing a salvo that struck Scharnhorst's radar mast with deadly precision. In an instant, Scharnhorst was blind. Her advanced radar, the ship's eyes in the blizzard, was destroyed. Now in the swirling snow and biting wind, she was forced to rely on human lookouts, men straining to see through the Arctic storm, their vision limited and hope fading. Meanwhile, the British cruisers, equipped with superior radar, tracked Scharnhorst's every move. Hidden by darkness and snow, they became phantoms, unseen but always present, tightening the noose. Bay, unable to find the convoy or shake his pursuers, faced a nightmare, an invisible enemy, striking from the shadows. Every decision weighed heavily, as the crew battled not just the British but the merciless Arctic itself. Scharnhorst fired back with all her might, managing to damage Norfolk. But the tactical advantage was gone. The Germans were fighting blind, their fate increasingly out of their own hands. Realizing he was outgunned and outmaneuvered, Bay made a desperate decision. He broke off the attack and turned south, racing for the safety of Norway, hoping to outrun the British fleet. This was exactly what Admiral Fraser, commanding the British force, had anticipated. The trap was closing, and every move played into his hands. The blinded giant, battered and alone, was now running for its life through the frozen wastes, pursued by relentless enemies. The Royal Navy prepared for the final act, every sailor at battle stations, nerves taut, ready for the decisive moment. The Arctic night, cold and unforgiving, now belonged to the British. Their ships moved with purpose, determined to end the chase. The decisive battle was about to begin, a clash that would echo through naval history. Scharnhorst fled south at top speed, briefly slipping away into the storm. Burnett guessed her course and moved to intercept, while Fraser's Duke of York waited ahead. The British battleship's radar soon picked up Scharnhorst, 45,000 yards and closing. On Scharnhorst's bridge, relief turned to horror as a star shell burst overhead, illuminating the ship. Duke of York's guns thundered, scoring a direct hit on Scharnhorst's forward turret. The German ship, now wounded and cornered, returned fire, but the British had the upper hand. The Arctic night was shattered by gunfire and magnesium glare. Scharnhorst's speed and firepower were no longer enough. The Royal Navy's trap had sprung. The final battle was underway. The outcome would be decided in minutes. The era of the big gun duel was ending. Scharnhorst was fighting for survival. Scharnhorst, caught in the open, was hammered by Duke of York's radar-guided guns. Shells tore through her superstructure, starting fires and crippling her turrets. Despite the punishment, Scharnhorst fought back, her gunners straddling the British flagship. But the relentless bombardment took its toll. A shell exploded in her boiler room, crippling her engines. Scharnhorst's speed dropped, escape was impossible. HMS Jamaica joined the barrage, while Burnett's cruisers closed in from the north. The German battleship was trapped in a steel net. Fraser saw his moment. He ordered the destroyers to attack. The time for torpedoes had come. Scharnhorst was surrounded, wounded, and slowing. The end was near. The wolves were closing in. 4 British destroyers, Savage, Saumarez, Scorpion and Stord, charged the crippled Scharnhorst. Braving a storm of gunfire, they closed to point-blank range and unleashed torpedoes. Explosions ripped through Scharnhorst's hull, flooding compartments and causing her to list. The destroyers attacked in waves, overwhelming the German defenses. Scharnhorst's guns fired defiantly, but the ship was doomed. Her speed dropped to a crawl. She began to circle helplessly. Fires raged, decks twisted and icy water poured in. The crew fought on, but hope was gone. The Arctic night was lit by flames and star shells. The end was only minutes away. The last stand of Scharnhorst had come. The sea would claim her. Scharnhorst, burning and listing, was pounded by shells and torpedoes from all sides. At 7:45 p.m., she rolled over and slipped beneath the Arctic waves. Of nearly 2,000 men, only 36 survived the freezing water. Rear Admiral Bay went down with his ship. The British searched for survivors, but the sea was merciless. The loss was a stark reminder of war's cost. Churchill received the news. Scharnhorst sunk. Admiral Fraser saluted the enemy's courage, but the victory was total. The age of the German surface raider was over. Scharnhorst's sinking marked the end of Germany's surface threat in the Arctic. The vital convoys to the Soviet Union could now sail with greater safety. The Royal Navy's victory freed its heavy ships for other battles. Radar, teamwork, and courage had won the day. The Battle of the North Cape was the Royal Navy's last great big-gun duel. Today we remember the bravery of both sides, and the turning point that secured the Allied path to victory. The Arctic convoys would continue, unbroken. The Scharnhorst rests beneath the waves, a silent witness to the end of an era.